Hi, Skookum1, the street professor. Just got back from the gym. I decided to vlog in the lobby of my condo I live in because my landlord slash roommate is here tonight and he gets up early to drive back to work in the morning. He had to be here for a strata meeting tonight. So I was just listening to John Horgan. This isn't to do with the referendum, but with, the economic and technological direction of the province and the economy. I was just listening to John Horgan give his, mandate for reductions by 40%, what was it, by 2030? Just not enough, John, and not soon enough. And why aren't you copying what Norway is doing? And, like I said, building electric airplanes here and things like that, like using our technological resources and the genius that lives in British Columbia for innovation, including like the carbon extraction plants. And I agree that we need more energy from the northeast, and the way to do that is deep drilling for thermal. And that's done in Vancouver by the Capers store on 4th, up by, trying to remember what the street is, Alder, something like that, past you. Anyways, so, there's so much more that can be done. And when I heard whatever it was to be reduced by 2040, no, John, that's not good enough. And we have to start thinking about, looking at what's happening with the coastline, especially in the Fraser Delta and in various First Nations communities along the coast. Like, of course, Sarta has already been relocated for tsunami reasons. But yeah, there's so much that should be being done, and instead we're building a dam in the northeast, to supply an energy sector to export something that the people of the north don't want a pipeline across their territory for. And who I say are boycotting the referendum, or just by, they not care because, the capital has always done bad things to them. So there's a big issue in the north that everybody's avoiding talking about, including our media, and unknown to the world media, which needs to be more discussed. The Northern Gateway is done. It's not going to happen for the same reason that LNG pipeline, I'm sorry, John Horgan, but it can't happen, right? So there's all kinds of other energy alternatives and other systems of transport. I say, call on Norway, get it with the fish farms, and help us develop our transport along the coastline and the electric aircraft fleets, and SNCF, the Société Chemin de Fer de France, the French railway company is on some kind of contract or co-Chinese thing here somewhere. But they have a lot of skills, obviously, and they do serve a lot of France by small rural railways that are very much like the old Bud car, which could easily be put back on, not just on the BCR, but also on the line up to Prince Rupert and also to Fort St. James, for not very much, compared to what's been made by the Rocky Mountaineer or by CN. I won't go on long about the BC Rail problem. It's still there, as is overall American ownership of much of British Columbia now, which, if we were to try and take it back, it becomes, a really delicate issue. So we have to look at governing ourselves. So I hope that the referendum does pass. And then there's some hope. But if the referendum doesn't pass, I won't go on about that. But John Horgan says he still wants 14 months before they have an election. So this energy, supposedly, environment, climate friendly change line. I'm trying to get the light better on me there. I seem to be glared. I don't know how harsh that is. I'm going to turn around here so you can see the San Lucia in the lobby. There must be somebody Swedish in the building, or they just liked it. Oops, where is it there? You can see the San Lucia in the window, right? She's plastic with a nice little thing of lights on her head. I'll walk over that way. It's very heavy tonight for me. I've got a bag on still. I need physical therapy and can't afford it, so that's fine. It's always been a long path, But I'm glad I've had the surgery, but I do need a scooter. Anyway, there's another shot of her. So she's big in Swedish Christmas, not so much in Norway, maybe in Germany, I'm not sure. Santa Lucia, Santa Lucia. I don't know the Swedish carol, but that's of course the famous Italian song. So anyways, yeah, John Horgan is like not doing everything quick enough. He doesn't comprehend the problem. And we have pressing things to consider, like, you know, protecting Richmond and Delta and the populations who live there and in the Fraser Valley, because the sea level rise means that the current high tide mark at Mission, let me think now, it's at 33 feet, I think, from sea level, is where when I was young, where the tide ended. And that was where the gauge was under the Mission Bridge. I bet that's at least at the Rosedale Bridge by now. By what, another foot? Well, maybe just at the Harrison, or just above the Harrison, maybe. But yeah, the rise of the sea level is also going to affect neighboring Whatcom County and also Skagit County a lot, right? But it's going to cause like whole areas. You don't have the money for the seawall that's needed, folks, right? So you have to radically rethink development. You have to radically rethink transportation for where the bridges are going to be. And a Massey tunnel, forget it, right? Unless you do something like the floating tunnels that I think the Faroes use, you know, and the Faroes is an example of a highly diversified technological economy, completely interneted, and completely roaded, but also also just with sheep and fish, no oil, despite where they are, north of Scotland, between Scotland and Iceland. I think there are only 40,000, 50,000 people, and they're like a dynamically economic, you know, sovereign nation, basically, right? Had nominally Danish. So anyways, yeah, there's a lot of interesting world out there. British Columbia should join the modern world. That's where I'm coming from, John Horgan. I don't know if you ever see this stuff, or any of you NDP people bother listening to this raging rogue old green. I know I'm too radical for the party, right? I understand that. Maybe that's why I really left. I see too much, but I see everything that can be done here to help out British Columbians and not be slaves to the international economy or world market prices. There are things we can do. Yeah, make British Columbia, welcome people from the States who need a home. As I often tell people that have American friends, especially of whatever kind that Trump is and is out to get after, right? They're welcome here, they should come. We welcome them, right? And they bring a lot of diversity and energy to this country, like the Draft Dodgers did. And in BC history, as I was telling a young Texan friend who's also now living here and becoming British Columbian, I said, you know, there are a lot of very significant Americans in British Columbian history, many of whom became British subjects and naturalized British Columbians. So that's a whole series of vlogs and the histories I want to do also. I've got all kinds of histories I want to do. So anyways, I'm going to end this vlog. I just wanted to point out that, you know, we've got 14 months left with the current government, which has, you know, is holding off allowing the Greens having more seats, basically, and I think is rigged the referendum to try and shaft the Greens. Somebody's coming. I've got to sign off. Skookum1, the street professor, signing off. Happy Christmas, Merry New Year.